On this video, we talk about core beliefs and how they reinforce and contribute staying stuck in relationship. Stay tuned. Welcome to the New Love Addiction. I'm Alan Robarge, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Let's explore core beliefs and how those core beliefs can contribute to keeping you stuck in a relationship that perhaps you know is not the best relationship for you, or perhaps you know that you actually want to leave that particular relationship and are challenged to figure out what are the next steps and how you can make that work. And despite knowing that you want to leave this relationship, you're still in it. You're still stuck. Well, maybe one reason has to do with you have these core beliefs and these core values that you are not addressing or even aware that you believe. And they are influencing, potentially even subconsciously influencing how you are making decisions and choices, or how you are not making decisions and choices. So core beliefs are very personal. However, they do come from our family and they do come from the culture at large. And then hopefully as an adult, if we are a thinking person, we can reflect on if we agree or disagree, if we believe or do not believe in a particular belief that we learned in childhood or that we learn from the greater culture. Now, most of us don't challenge these beliefs. Most of us do not really sit down and are not self-reflective to question, well, why do I actually believe this, or is this true? So when that's the case, we have inherited, we have adopted these beliefs and we assign value to them. We think that they're meaningful and we think that that's who we are and that we believe them. However, when we are in a situation similar to being stuck in a relationship and we are completely stymied or confused about why can we not move forward, something we can do is look at our core beliefs and question them. So let's explore some examples of what I'm talking about. One such example of a core belief is that some people, and perhaps you are one of these people, who believes stay no matter what. This is also somewhat of a cultural belief that generationally, historically, has been passed down, especially for women. Women historically were taught if the family is not healthy and not going smoothly, it must be the mother's fault, it must be the wife's fault. And if only she could figure out how to make everyone else happy and to solve the current situation, then the dysfunctional, unhealthy relating will right itself and everyone will be happy. So the underlying core belief that gets reinforced here is stay no matter what and focus on fixing, changing, and making something better and improving, instead of being honest with oneself and saying sometimes we have to leave, sometimes relationships end, and this particular one is beyond its prime, has passed its point of return, and I need to leave. People cannot get to that place if they have the core belief, stay no matter what. There's also another belief that comes from oftentimes from very dysfunctional families, chaotic families, families that have a lot of stress and there are problems going on in the family, that children very quickly pick up that perhaps things would be better, mom and dad would get along, there would be less fighting, less arguing, less struggle in the family, less tension, less walking on eggshells, if it was not my fault. And so the core belief is it must be my fault that this is going on, and I need to fix it. If I can change myself, then I'll change the external situation. Then mom and dad will get along better, and the family will successfully move on. So the core belief that gets solidified and gets internalized for the child, and then as a child we take this into our adulthood, is that the core belief is that this must be my fault, and so therefore I'm responsible for fixing it. If you have that core belief and you're not questioning it or challenging it, it could be reinforcing staying stuck in your current situation. Another core belief is that you don't deserve better. Many people stay in relationships that are not working for them and potentially or even hurtful or unhealthy for them over the long run. But they stay because they fundamentally don't believe that they deserve better. Now, again, this most probably comes from a childhood experience. It could come from a lifetime of having a series of relationships that do not work out successfully. And over time, if there's a very a deep-rooted fear-based response, a coming from a place of fear that this is the best that I can do, and that the partner that I'm with, this is the best that I can do, and the amount of connection and emotional warmth and security and intimacy that is being offered, even if it is too little, even if it is falling short, nonetheless, this is the best that I can do. I have a core belief that I do not deserve better. If this is a core belief that you also share, you might be challenged to then actually have the wherewithal, have the agency, have the energy, have the focus, have the direction to leave a relationship. Because it's not attractive. What's attractive about a future that says that you cannot do better than your current position of struggle? So it's a rather toxic and negative thinking that reinforces staying stuck. But nonetheless, we value these core beliefs, and that's why we stay stuck. Another core belief is that if I end a relationship and if I exit the relationship, that I'm actually abandoning my partner. And that the core belief is that I cannot leave because I am going to cause abandonment for the other person. This will, I have a extreme loyalty to staying connected to this person. I made some kind of internal, it could be a vow, it could be an internal conclusion that I am going to love this person, I'm going to stay connected to this person, and if I leave, then I am abandoning him or her. Now, this particular core belief is a little tricky because chances are for many people who have this belief and that they can feel it, they can feel the emotion, they can feel the intensity, they can feel the energy around this core belief. If I leave, I will be abandoning the other person. Chances are the reason why you have this belief is because you have some history yourself of actually having been abandoned. So there's a kind of altruism here. There's a kind of goodness in that we do not want to give to another person something that was very hurtful to us. And so the fact that we know what it's like to be ignored, we know what it is like to be neglected, we know what it is like to be abandoned or betrayed, that we perceive that leaving a relationship, ending a relationship would be doing the same thing to the other person. And who wants to do that? Who wants to be responsible for that? So as a kind of altruism, it's a kind of misplaced altruism, a protecting the other person from feeling the incredible pain and hurt that we once felt. So this is a core belief that we have that is influencing. Again, this could all be very subconscious. It's not that we're sitting around having a cup of coffee openly thinking about these things, but these core beliefs and these values could be working behind the scenes in our mind, and they are contributing to why we are staying stuck in this particular relationship. Now, one way to work with these core beliefs is to question their validity. We have to slow down. We take each core belief and we could even begin to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. How strong do I actually believe this? And is there room to move that level of strength around the belief? So that if I believe it at a level 9 on a scale of 0 to 10, am I able to drop or diminish its intensity or its importance by bringing it down, let's say, to a level 5? Can I only believe this up to a level 5? And then for some of us, some of these beliefs are actually very black and white. Either we believe them or we don't. And so we really begin to question, is this true? To question the validity of the core belief. Is this true? Now, as we enter this questioning, as we enter the self-reflection, we can also begin to look at where this core belief came from. And as I've mentioned before, so many of these come from our family history and from the culture around us. And we can begin to discern our child's mind. We learned these core beliefs when we were 5, when we were 6, when we were 10, when we were 12, when we were 14. And so we are making adult decisions. We are basing our maturity and our adult real world decisions on a core belief that we inherited and blindly accepted when we were 14. And that core belief is coming from our mind, our child's mind, our childhood mind, from the place of maturity and from the place of development of a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old or an 18-year-old or wherever it came from. And so if you begin to look at, I might have believed, or you might have believed this coming out of your family, but is it true that you believe it today? And does your current adult mind, does your wisdom self, does your wisdom mind, does your intuitive healer self actually believe this core belief today? Oftentimes you're going to bump up into and see the ridiculousness of these beliefs, and you're going to very easily say, no, I don't believe this today. As an adult, this is not true. But nonetheless, I can feel internally, I can feel that this is very much running the show, dictating how I orient to this situation and influencing how I'm not taking action and why I continue to stay stuck in this relationship. Another thing that you can do as you work with these core beliefs is to begin to imagine the alternative. And you ask yourself, you say, what would happen if I didn't believe this core belief? You could also begin to rewrite the belief. You can change it, you can switch it, you can play with opposites, you can play with a range, you can wordsmith it and even put qualifiers with it to say, well, sometimes I might believe this in a certain situation when, etc., etc., etc. But what we can do is we start to rewrite the core belief. We change this. This is a very active a concrete, simple exercise to do. You get a journal, you go to a coffee shop, you order a cup of tea, you sit down, and you write down a couple of these core beliefs, and you just sort of free form, like a writing assignment, a bit free association, explore this belief, and what actually do you want to believe? And if you're not going to believe this, what belief are you going to replace it with? And so in these ways, you can begin to really challenge and really change how these core beliefs are greatly impacting the decisions that you're making, as well as how you're staying stuck and not making decisions. One thing that I have learned with clients around core beliefs is a kind of anticipation or anticipatory fear. And this comes around the core belief of, I am afraid to be alone. So a number of people are stuck in a relationship and they have a core belief that, again, oftentimes it's not terribly conscious or in the forefront of their mind, but there's this low level, this anxiety, this fear that's really influencing how they're staying stuck in the current relationship. And one of those core beliefs is that if I end this relationship, I will be alone, and that experience of being alone is unmanageable. I have a fear of being alone. So much of that belief is based upon imagining the future, and it's a kind of anticipatory anxiety, anticipating that you're going to be afraid. The reason why that is very problematic is because we're trying to base our current life decision on imagining what might happen in the future, and that because I fear what might happen in the future, therefore I'm going to ignore making a decision or making a choice or moving forward in this relationship that is not working for me. So I've noticed with clients, oftentimes we can do an inventory of your history, and we look at, well, is it actually true? How much have you been afraid of being alone? And in those experiences when you actually were afraid of being alone, how did you survive? Because you're still here, you're still watching this video, you're still living life, and even if you did experience some prickly, uncomfortable feelings that were momentary, that ultimately pass, and they come back, and then they go, and they come, and they go, and they come, and they go. This fear of being alone, obviously you had some skills to work with it, or you managed to get through it in the past. So why do you think that you could not possibly move forward with your life now based upon this fear of being alone, as if you would not already have the same skills that you do? And if you put a little effort into it, you very much could learn even some new skills of how to work with your experience of being alone, which might include moments of fear of being alone. So the message here is that core beliefs are workable, and core beliefs are not set in stone, and that we can play with them and we can change them, and we can be honest with ourselves that so much of these core beliefs are rooted in the word should. I should be like this. I should think like this. I should behave like this. And I don't know if you ever heard the phrase before, but it's the phrase, stop shoulding on yourself. And I just love that phrase, because we get so paralyzed in our core beliefs. That's what happens. It's a double bind. A double bind is you cannot turn left, you cannot turn right. A double bind is the feeling of I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. So what happens when we have our core beliefs, they're oftentimes conflicting with each other. And when we have that conflict, that's what creates tension, and that's what creates gridlock, and that's what creates this paralysis of like why I can't move, because I'm simultaneously believing two things that cannot coexist. There's also a word here for this, it's called dissonance. So the experience in the brain, the experience of our confused thoughts, we are experiencing a kind of dissonance between what we actually believe, what's actually happening, and what we know to be true, and yet we're coming back around trying to reinforce this old belief, and this is keeping us stuck. And that is a double bind. One example of a double bind is I could have a core belief that says protect myself. I believe I must protect myself. So I'll repeat that. I have a core belief, I value that I must protect myself. However, I'm going to mention one of the core beliefs that I said earlier. If I have a core belief that says stay no matter what, I'm in a relationship and stay no matter what, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how stressful it is, no matter how unloving it is, no matter how painful it is, no matter how much tension there is in the family home, no matter how much we are walking on eggshells with each other, no matter how much contempt and anger is coming out, I will stay no matter what. Well, so here you have, this is the double bind. I also simultaneously believe I must protect myself. And I get myself into this gridlock of these two competing core beliefs. So, to repeat, you need to drop into the consciousness of that. You need to slow down and ask yourself, what do you actually believe? And what are the limitations? What are the obstacles keeping you stuck in this current relationship based upon your beliefs? I hope this is helpful. I'm Alan Robarge. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. There are more videos coming. If you like this video, please subscribe so that you can watch those as well. Also, if you like this content and you want to chat with some other people about these ideas, there is a group of wonderful people created a Facebook group. I created a Facebook group called The New Love Addiction, and I will include the URL here. If you'd like to join The New Love Addiction, please do, and you can continue, share your thoughts, share your insights, share your ideas around this content. And finally, if you want to learn more about me, please go to alanrobarge.com. I offer consultation with clients for one-on-one sessions. If that interests you, you can learn more about me at alanrobarge.com. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.